Sensei, what is your martial arts background and where was the inspiration from?
Okay, so I'm a black belt, a fifth degree black belt in Okinawan Shorin-ryu karate, and I've been practicing studying martial arts for 52 years, almost. In May, it'll be my 52nd anniversary.
Wow.
So I'm still a student. I like to, still wear the white belt, metaphorically and physically. And it started off as maybe a curiosity, and then it became an interest, and then it became a like, and then it became a love, and then it became a passion, and then it became a way of life for me. And I was able to follow the path from curiosity all the way to becoming a way of life. And the first time I actually did karate was there was a friend of mine in the third grade who maybe it was the second grade, but he had started taking karate at the local dojo down the street, and he told me that he thinks I should do it too because he thought I was getting a little chubby. So, and I think he just wanted a friend there. So my mom took me down to the dojo and I signed up. And honestly, I was a very awkward, clumsy, shy kid, and I didn't take to it right away. And I actually didn't really want to stick with it, but my mom was insistent. She felt that it would benefit me, and I needed to develop certain things, such as physical dexterity and confidence, things like that. And I'd been at it for a few years, and then I was like, I don't want to go anymore. And my mom said, "Look, can you at least? You're a brown belt. Can you at least stick it out till you get to your black belt, and then you can quit?" And I was like, "Okay." And then I discovered Bruce Lee, and that's when I lost my mind, like a lot of people in the world. And had this hero, that other than my teachers, that I really wanted to be like, who was larger than life, and who was, it was just, like a lot of people, Bruce Lee was the reason why they, became passionate about martial arts. He was one component for sure, but at that point in my life, he was he was the strongest influence. And that's when I was practicing. And as I practiced more, I got better. As I got better, I liked it more. When I liked it more, I practiced more. When I practiced more, I got better. It just feeds into that loop. And as a result, I it became my way of life. Where I just love martial arts. I love them all. Some more than others. I like the traditional martial arts. I like the combat sports. I like the more, defensive arts, the combatives, and I like martial artists. Now sometimes the martial artists, in this industry, in these arts, there's a lot of ego, and you get to pick and choose, who you want to hang out with, who you want to talk to. There's a lot of people who really love themselves, including some high level masters that I've met, and that's okay. I don't have to go hang out with them, but I can certainly respect the work that they've done and the contributions that they've made.
That's true, yeah, it happens as well. There are some people out there. I've been in gyms and you have guys who are like, excuse me, who are quite big, beefed up, like the bodybuilders. But some of them
Mm.
they say, "Oh, I studied kickboxing," but then you do see a big ego out of them as well. But it's like that's not what martial arts teaches you. It teaches you to treat people with respect, regardless of what they do, what they study. Respect is always the key factor, isn't it?
I believe that. Yes, yes, I do. It's definitely, one of the principles I live my life by.
Thank you. So you're a lifelong martial artist.
Oh yeah, absolutely. I'm just now starting to get kind of good, and maybe in another 52 years I'll be decent, So that's my
Well,
philosophy. But I love it.
well, you still look very young. I got to be honest with you. When I saw you now, I thought you were about my age, to tell you the truth. I mean,
Well,
I've
how
honestly
old are
thought.
you?
Well, how old do you think I am, sir? If you don't mind me asking.
Oh, you look like you might be in your 30s.
I really like you. I really like you. No, I'll. I'll be 43 very soon. So we're gonna say you're in the
Oh,
40. You're in the 40. You're in the 40s club. Yeah, we'll say that.
okay. Well, that's I'll take that as a big compliment. I appreciate that. And listen, part of it is, this is what I am. Like I embrace whatever lines I have on my face. I got grays coming out, whatever. It's like, the skin underneath my neck is getting looser. And it's just kind of like, and there's some mornings I wake up and I'm like, oh, geez, look at this dude. But we have to learn to embrace ourselves and love ourselves. These are things I have earned through living my life. And rather than try to hide them, I just go, look, this is me, guys. And because of my genetics, my mother was Japanese and my father aged pretty well too up until he died. So I think I have good genetics on my side, but also it's you know I take care of myself. I don't smoke, I don't drink, I don't have any big addictions, like that, other than maybe coffee, right? And then
Yeah.
I exercise. I think, a clean living and a positive outlook can be very helpful. All those elements, and then just learning as we get older to try to play the game smarter rather than harder. Um,
Yes. Yes.
being around kids, teaching kids, I get some of their positive energy, I think, and just, happiness. Overall, I think I'm a happy person. And, that I think when you are unhappy, that can age you too, because that goes sometimes that goes along with stress and worry and
Yes.
things like that. And and stress can really take its toll on somebody, not only emotionally and mentally, but physically as well. So that's why I try to be, what I always tell my students, and this is what I want for you also, and this is similar to the prayer that you gave me. It's like, what I really want for my students is I want them to be healthy, number one, and that's physical, mental, emotional, right? Maybe some may even say spiritual, right? And the second
Yes.
thing is I want them to be happy. So healthy, happy, and then successful. But usually, if you have the first two, you are already successful, right? So, but success, however you want to measure that, I want them to be strong. I want them to be safe. I want them to be secure. And then I want them to be prosperous. And again, that does not have to mean material wealth.
Yes.
Prosperous could mean, wow, you have five really great friends that are your ride and die people that are going to pick you up at the airport at 3 in the morning and help you go move if you need to go to another home, right? Those are the people that are like your keepers. And if you have that, I would say that you're pretty prosperous. So um, that's what I want for people. That's what I want for everybody, and that attitude, that feeling, I think keeps me youthful too. Rather than be jealous and be spiteful, that stuff can eat away at you, and it can age you, I believe, as well.
Absolutely agree with Sensei Ford because, excuse me, because I bumped a couple of years ago. Went to my high school reunion, and I saw some people that I hadn't seen in a long time. As you know, it's been
Mm.
25 years, and some people I didn't even recognize. Like they aged quicker. They didn't look like they. You know how you have a dad, but some of them look like granddads. It's like, but you were the same age. It's like, how is that possible? And it's like, oh, I was doing this, this, and this. I was drinking a lot. I was
Mm.
doing that. And I said, well, I hope whatever you've been through, I hope you've gotten over it, and I hope things go better. And first thing everybody said to me was, God, Addy, you haven't aged a bit. I said, well, yeah, well, that's what happens. That's what happens when you exercise and everything.
You were talking about the
Yeah.
reunion, and I must say that sometimes with the ladies, they have kids, they're that can really take its toll on certain people, especially when they have more than one child, so I
Yeah.
tend to be very understanding and very respectful, but and then sometimes it's just hard living, like people who have fallen on hard times for whatever reason. I know people that are younger than me, that are, one guy ended up, being homeless. And the thing is that, he had the opportunity to not be homeless. And he had met some very nice lady who liked him, and he said, "Hey, come live with me, and all you have to do is just make sure the house stays clean, and water the yard, don't drink, be home when I get home, and we can have a life together." And he tried it for a while, and he could not maintain that, and he decided that it was better. He liked living on the street better than the life that she could offer him, and she could offer him all these things, but she could not give him the things that he needed internally, what to and I believe to live your best life. Like you can't give somebody that. You can't. You can. They are what they are inside, and you either have it in you to change or you don't. And for whatever reason. And I found that very sad. I found that very very sad that. Um, it was like a former classmate of mine in the karate dojo that was like a few years younger than me, and then I mean, he had good looks and everything, and it's just like, wow, how did we come to this? But sometimes you can't help people if they do not want to, if they don't want your help. You can't do it for them.
Yeah, yeah. No, no, you're right. As that old cliche saying, isn't it? You can lead the horse to the water, but you can't force the horse to drink the water. To a certain extent, it is like that, isn't it?
It
But
is.
yeah, so it is. But all you can do is help. At least you know that okay, I tried. They didn't want it. But at least I tried. At least I did my end
Yeah.
of all I could do to help. So, what is your current fitness regime? Because, like I said, sincerely, you look about the same age as myself, to tell you the truth, Sensei.
You know what? I usually start my day by walking my dog. That is very good because it clears my mind, but also, even just walking is good at my age. Just you walk, you burn some calories, the body gets warmed up, and that's what I usually start with. I like to do various types of push-ups. So, the regular push-up like this, and then I'll turn my fingers out. That emphasizes my bicep a little bit more. And then I like to do one where you're kind of like, it's almost like a yoga move where you're kind of like dipping down and lifting up your head, and then you
Yeah,
bring your,
yeah.
back up like this. I like to do those light weights. And then, of course, punching the bag, kicking Thai pads. That to me is the most fun kind of fitness, where you're doing martial arts, and coming from a traditional background, I always have my katas that I can work on, so that is good for my hip strength and just overall conditioning. So that's basically my fitness routine in a nutshell. You know.
Well, it looks like it's working its magic on you. I got to be honest with you. So, whatever you're doing, just keep at it. Just keep at it. And I think hopefully in a few years from now, no, sincerely, if I meet you again in the future, it's like you don't seem to age, do you? No, you don't. Keep doing what you're doing. Keep doing what you're doing. Yeah.
Well, all
Um,
all my all my years are going into my hair. So if I cut my hair, I will become old and decrepit within minutes. I'll just shrivel up like a prune. So that's my excuse for keeping my hair long.
well,
That's where
it's
my
called
power
hair.
is.
Yeah, like Samson,
Thank you
the
very much.
mythological warrior. Yeah. It's cool hair.
It's
It's
become,
cool hair.
it's become my brand, part of my branding. It makes it easy for me. Like when I go into venues, like I have the wristband, and then I go and show, and they're like, "Ah, we know who you are." It's like, yeah, you're the dude with the long hair. And when my daughter was younger, when we used to go, like my daughter's 14 now, but when we used to, like, she's a 5 years old, 4 years old, I'd have her either holding her hand or holding her, and they'd be like, "Oh, we know you. You're the long haired dude with the cute little girl." So it was kind of easy, and it just like it's sort of like my brand recognition now.
Yeah, trademark. So if you look at it on IMDb one day, and Sensei's trademark, the long cool hair, it'll be
Yeah,
there eventually. Yeah, yeah, it'll
yeah.
be there.
Well, what's funny is, I had a conversation with Josh Heald and John Hurwitz. They were writers and creators, producers of Cobra Kai. Um,
Yeah,
and I got a chance to talk to them, quite a bit. They're very very nice guys. There's also Hayden. My contact with him was not as frequent, and I just didn't get a chance to talk to him as much. But John and Josh, yeah, just great guys. And they had told me, they were really happy that they were able to bring me back into the Miyagi verse, and I am just forever grateful for that. But I said, I really thought maybe I was gonna just do a cameo and maybe it shows, me and Ralph kind of passing each other, and I'm walking out of a hardware store, and I've got a Japanese shoji screen under my arm, and we kind of look back and we do a double take. And then, what they told me was that, like, oh, no, 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 we've been keeping an eye on you on your social media, and, you've kept yourself in shape, and, you can look fierce, and you got the long hair, and, you're a real sensei. So that's why they wanted to make sure that when they put me back in the Miyagi-verse, it was something that was good and meaty, and something that it felt like, okay, this isn't just like a sort of a cameo throwaway thing. And my character moves the plot forward, and it was really, the fans, I think, really enjoyed seeing me kind of introducing Terry Silver back into Cobra Kai. If you recall, in Karate Kid 3, Terry Silver introduces me and Snake really
Yeah,
into the fans, right? He's in the
yeah,
hot tub. And this time it's me who introduces everybody back into back to Terry Silver. So we do the reverse.
yeah,
So
yeah. I remember
I
that was a classic scene.
yeah, where he says you know, they think it's like, okay, maybe it's Kreese, maybe it's Sensei Wolf, and then it's like, then all of a sudden there's the reveal of Silver, and I think that was one of the greatest moments of season 6, where says Terry Silver in the hot tub, smoking a cigar. Just iconic moment there.
Oh yeah, it's like Terry Silver. As much, like I said before, as much as people want to hate the guy, you just can't hate him for some reason because he's like a lovable bad guy. He is, and it's like all his intentions. It just even while he's sitting there smoking a cigar in a hot tub, he's still conducting business, like in Karate Kid 3, when he's like, "What? What do you mean you can't dump it in Borneo? Do it. Call me when it's dumped." Okay, where were we? And and he's like continuously conducting all that work there.
Well, I bringing him back, I think, was one of the great decisions that they made. And the fans are very happy that Thomasine Griffith agreed to come back.
Well, that's good. That's good. So, how did you first get into the movie business?
Um, okay, so I saw a movie in 1977 called Star Wars.
Oh yeah, fair enough.
I I saw it in the theaters, and that was the movie that made me think, wow, I want to make movies. And then I saw a movie called Enter the Dragon, and that's where I was like, I want to be the dude in the movies. And then I saw a movie called Raiders of the Lost Ark, and that kind of like that cemented everything, and that kind of took me on this journey of getting interested in acting and filmmaking, and particularly action movies. And did some plays, and I did a play in high school, and then in college I took some classes, and then I started going to the bookstore and reading books on the business of acting, and that's where I learned, oh, you have to go take a picture, which is called a headshot, and then you have to go submit it, and then that's um, that's how I kind of learned about that. And um, a friend of mine had read in the newspaper that they were doing open call for Karate Kid 3, and they were looking for a new bad guy. And so he called me and said, hey, we got to go down to Burbank. And so he picked me up, and we went down there. And that's where I was standing in line with Sean Kanan and all these other people. And the director, John Avildsen, came out with his cameraman, and they just started going down the line and just pretty much dismissing everybody. Thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you. And they stopped at me, and he started walking towards me. And that's when he asked me how old I was. And I said, I'm 22, sir. And he says, well, you look a little old for what we need, because we need somebody who kind of looks like they're still in high school. And I said, oh, really? Can you please take my picture and resume anyways? And he's like, yeah, yeah, sure.